Hey, what's up? What's happening? Hey, look, I want to have a face-to-face conversation about this particular fight with Jake Paul and also with my man Mike Tyson coming up. I put a post up and I didn't necessarily agree with what, believe it was, think it was Matt Barnes. Matt Brown. I believe it was Matt Brown, who stated that, it's a lose-lose situation for Jake Paul. If he wins, he's going to be considered, beating up on a 57-year-old man. If he loses, he lost to a 57-year-old man. Well, people, this 57-year-old man is the former heavyweight champion of the world, a real boxer. And there's been this thing where people believe that UFC fighters can immediately go into boxing and be successful, when it's been proven that over 95% of the time, it's not the case. Now, once again, I'm not saying Jake Paul is going to win, nor am I saying he's going to lose. What I am saying is that people who keep saying Tyson is going to get beat because he's 57 years old and Jake Paul is 27, if that's your only criteria, then you're really not taking the time to look at all the things that could take effect and determine who wins this boxing match. Those are the type of conversations that I look to have. That's it. Those type of conversations when we can go into depth and really, really discuss the sport and this upcoming matchup in July. Once again, I'm not saying that Jake Paul's going to win or lose, but when I hear people say things like, I'm concerned about Mike Tyson's reaction time. What about Jake Paul's reaction time? Have you seen the hand speed of a seasoned boxer? Have you taken the time to look at Mike Tyson in training? Let's take a look at Jake Paul in training. Look, we're talking about a guy who's getting up in the morning in terms of Mike Tyson. And I believe he's doing 5 miles every morning, getting his body straight, doing that road work so that conditioning could be in place. Mike Tyson's going to be tactical with this young man. I mean, there's so many things that we should talk about, but we don't. So when I'm posting something and the response immediately dismisses what I'm saying, then I have a hard time taking the time to write down what I'm saying because it's going to be dismissed, nor is it ever being taken into consideration. That's a problem that we have on social media. That's why I prefer sitting down, getting you on Skype, and having this conversation, recording it, and being respectful to one another. Look, right here. You see that spot to the left? Right there, that spot to the left. That's your screen. You'll be able to speak. We can have a conversation. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to ask questions as to why. Can you expand on that? Okay, this is what I see wrong with that. Okay, this is what I see you got a point on. That's how you have a discussion. So, once again, all of these statements about Mike Tyson being old, I've heard it already. And I'm going to tell you this, that doesn't mean jack at all. I will go down the list. If somebody is willing to give me a call on my Skype line and we get up and we have this conversation, because believe it or not, this would be a great conversation. We can learn from each other. We can actually see, okay, I see your point. But writing it down back and forth on a Facebook, social media post, there's a level of dismissal on there that keeps me from wanting to keep talking. And also, I feel that I'm being ignored. I can tell when something I'm saying is being totally dismissed when you come back to your original talking point. And there's no way that you can actually dismiss what I'm saying. We have to talk once again. We have to talk about the fighters that these UFC fighters that enter the ring with seasoned boxers and lost. We have to talk about how Roy Jones Jr. said that every punch he took from Mike Tyson hurt. This is Mike Tyson, people. I can't say that he's going to lose because of his age. Give me something that makes me see your point in depth. But to keep dismissing what I'm saying and what I'm pointing out, boxing is a serious sport. It takes technique. It takes understanding. Sometimes you have to be defensive to be offensive. I mean, what are you people thinking? I think UFC has people thinking that just because they beat somebody up in UFC means that they're going to beat up a boxer. But it's like a friend of mine said, these UFC fighters, when they get in the boxing ring and they realize that it's hand to hand and they can't grab, they can't kick somebody in the shin or whatever, it becomes much different. And once again, this discussion about being concerned about Mike Tyson's reaction time, are you serious? I mean, seriously, just take a look at this. If you want to have this conversation, I would love to have this conversation, but I'm not going to keep writing on my post if what I'm saying is being dismissed or not acknowledged. That's a waste of time, and I need my time in life. So let's have a real conversation. I'm not being crude, rude, or dismissive of you. I just want to have a real conversation. It's just like when these people have these conversations about NIL, talking about travel basketball, talking about the WNBA versus a high school team. There are a lot of aspects that we can discuss in that. And you know what? All sports conversations, especially in basketball, shouldn't be about the GOAT. In boxing, in basketball, in baseball, football, there are more things to discuss besides what you hear on sports radio. And trust me, people, I know when somebody is regurgitating something that they heard on sports radio because I peep them all out. That's part of what I do. I'm trying to see who's doing what, their perspectives, and so forth and so on. It's like I've been talking about for the past 2 years, how Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards, is the most electrifying player in the NBA.
And Edwards taking exception to Draymond Green. Edwards from the foul.
Minnesota's come here and punched Golden State in the face.
Edwards again, 33, and has something to say to the Warriors bench.
But due to their marketing machine, they're only pushing Luka, SGA, Braun, Curry. I mean, how you going to dismiss a guy who's had his team at the top of the Western Conference, on and off, mostly on, during this entire season?
They were lucky that wasn't turned over. Anthony Edwards, that time he does finish.
Hero zigzagging with Conley, erased by the high-flying Anthony Edwards. That's his second block.
Ant off the feed, and Anthony Edwards.
He's trying to blow his way to the rim.
Oh my goodness gracious!
Jesus!
What a play by Anthony Edwards and a 2-for-1 at the same time.
Here comes Edwards. Head of steam, high and mighty.
So, getting back to Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, if you want to have this conversation, please, I beg you, you can be right here talking to me just by reaching out to me on Skype. I would love to have the conversation because I'm pretty sure there's some things that I'm overlooking that you can point out to me. And I love learning more about the sport. And I also crave, once again, intellectual, profound conversations that make me go, wow. So, hit me up. Let's talk about this. In other words, what you want to chat about.